Hi guys, welcome to all CBTs. My name is Faith Badro, and today we are going to be looking at 40 likely JAMB biology questions. Sit back and relax, we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're looking at 40 likely JAMB biology questions. Number one, the matured sex cell, which takes part in sexual reproduction, is referred to as what? The matured sex cell. So let us note sex cell. So in this question, we are being asked that the sex cells that take part in sexual reproduction, what is the term that we call those sex cells? A, gametes, B, fetus, C, embryo, D, zygote. Now our answer here is gametes. Now, when we talk about sexual reproduction, the male gamete and the female gamete will fuse together to produce the offspring. But what is fetus? Now, fetus, this is an unborn baby. Embryo is a developing zygote. Zygote is what is formed after these gametes fuse. So we can just put it like this. From gametes, the male and the female gametes will fuse together. When they fuse together, that is called fertilization. So fertilization will occur. Then after fertilization occurs, a zygote will be formed. Then after a zygote is formed, then the zygote will now develop to an embryo, to now get to the embryo. And after the embryo is also formed, then we'll have the fetus. The fetus. So our answer here is gametes. They are the sex cell of sexual reproduction. Number two, the biome that is characterized with large herbivores, few and scattered fire-resistant trees is what? A, we have savanna, B, tropical rainforest, C, montane forest, and D, desert. Now we have some biomes. We have different biomes in Nigeria. We have the rainforest, we have the savannas, we have the deserts. Now a savanna is characterized by scattered trees, is also characterized by grasses. In fact, you can call them grasslands. And also, now because of these grasses, don't forget that herbivores will feed on grasses. So where there are grasses, there will be many herbivores. So there are herbivores here. And where there are herbivores, there will also be carnivorous animals. So in these grasslands, these savannas, you find animals like lion, tigers, elephants, giraffes, carnivores. So that's the savanna. Now the tropical rainforest is characterized by dense vegetation and biodiversity, which means that it's not only herbivores that are here. There are decomposers here, there are herbivorous here, there are carnivorous here. Different animals are in this tropical rainforest because they have a very, very dense vegetation, which can support the carnivorous, the herbivorous, the decomposers. So biodiversity. For montane forests, now montane forests are forests, but from the word montane, they are found on mountains. So these are forests found
Get the cheapest science materials from allschoollabs.com.
on mountains. Here you can see animals like snakes. You can see animals like mountain goats. Now the deserts. Now this is where there is sparse vegetation. There is sparse or no vegetation in the desert. Now the kind of vegetation that we can see in this desert are the cactus. And animals that we can see here, we can see snakes that can do without water. We can see camels. Why can we see camels? Because they don't really need water. They can stay for a very long period of time without water. We can also see rats, some particular rats that don't really need water, that can go very long without taking water. So now that we know what is found in the savanna, the tropical rainforest, the montane forest, and the desert, let's now go back to our question. The biome that is characterized with large herbivores, few and scattered fire-resistant trees. So from this question, we are looking at savanna because they have scattered trees, which are also fire-resistant. They have grasses, much grasses, and these grasses is what gives them this makes herbivores to be large in this particular biome. So our answer is A, savanna. Number 3, red blood cells are also known as what? What's another name for red blood cells? Now, another name for red blood cells is erythrocytes. Sometimes you can see them as red blood cells, and another question you can see them as erythrocytes. They're talking about the same kind of cell. So erythrocytes are red blood cells. Thrombocytes. Now, thrombocytes, don't forget that the blood is made up of the plasma, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets. So this platelet is what we call thrombocytes. And don't forget that the platelets is for the clotting of blood. Now the phagocytes. Phagocytes are a part of the white blood cells. They're a part of the white blood cells. But what they do, they engulf parasites. They engulf foreign bodies. Now leukocytes is the general term for white blood cells. So our answer is option A, erythrocytes. Number 4, the joint between the femur and tibia is known as what? The joint between the femur and tibia. Now, you cannot answer this question if you don't know where your femur and your tibia is. Now, the femur is the lap bone. The lap bone, those are the bones that are found on our laps, and it's also the biggest bone in the body. So this particular femur is the biggest bone, is on the lap bone. This tibia, don't forget that we have, just like how we have the ulna and radius, we have the tibia and the fibula. So it is the tibia that is directly connected to the lap bone. So let us just assume this is a leg. Now in the leg, this is the femur. Now let's say, and we have the tibia and we have the fibula. Now they're not telling us that there's a particular joint that is here. What is that joint called? Now the joint that connects the femur to the tibia is known as the hinge joint, and is found in the knee. It's found in the knee. Now, ball and socket joints, where are they found? Ball and socket joint, we find it in our arm. It helps us with the rotation of our arm. Ball and socket makes rotation at a very special. You can move it 360. Now, pivot joint, that is the joint that is found on the neck that makes for rotation also. It is also pivot joint. Now, gliding joints are found on the arm. They are found on the wrists. So they allow the movement of our wrist backwards and forward. So our answer here, because the one that connects the femur to the tibia on the knee is the hinge joint, and it can only move in a way just like this. The way your knee will move just moves forward and backward, does not really bend that much. Number 5, what is the primary function of cofactors? What is the primary function of cofactors? Now, what are cofactors? We now know that we have enzymes and we have cofactors. Now, enzymes are proteinous.
Run quick tests and analysis. Visit analysis.africa.
They're proteins, and enzymes are this. They are proteins that aid the rate of reactions in the body. So they are biological catalysts. In chemistry, we call them catalysts, but in biology, enzymes are biological catalysts. Why? Because these are the catalysts that are found in the body. They are the natural kind of catalysts, and they are proteinous. But there is something called cofactors too. Now, these cofactors, they are non-proteins. They can either be vitamins or minerals. And what they do is they assist the enzymes. They help the enzymes. So this means our answer to be option A. Cofactors, the work of the cofactors is to aid in enzyme function. Number 6. Okay, we have a diagram here. Now, use this diagram below to answer the questions. Now, the diagram represents what? A, hygrometer, B, wind vane, C, anemometer, D, rain gauge. Now, when you first see this diagram, the first thing that will come to your mind is that is wind vane. You will think it is a wind vane because of the fact that in our schools, in our primary schools, we had wind vane, and they looked like this. But this is not a wind vane. And why is this not a wind vane? The reason why this is not a wind vane is because wind vanes will always have an arrow. Like a wind vane will look like this. Instead of cups being there, it will look like this. It will have arrows instead of cups. Now, when you see cups, not arrows, then we're talking about the anemometer. Now, when you see arrows on this kind of thing, it is telling us about the wind direction. But when you see cups like this, these cups, the wind is going to enter those cups. When you see cups, then it's going to be anemometer, and it's going to measure the wind speed. Hygrometer is for measuring relative humidity. And what is relative humidity? That is the water vapor that is in the air. Now, the wind vane, we have talked about it, wind direction of the wind. The anemometer is the speed of the wind, and the rain gauge is rain, the amount of rainfall. So our answer here is option C, the anemometer. Number 7, coloration of the eye is a dash variation. So this question, we're talking about types of variation. Don't forget that we have two main types of variation, the physiological variation and the morphological variation. Now, let us start with physiological variation. When we say this variation is physiological, what does it mean? Now, from the word physiological, it's talking about the internal body structures or functions. Internal body functions. Don't forget that, okay, let us even define variation. Variation is talking about the difference between one person and another person, one organism and another organism. Variation will tell you that no two people can be exactly the same except for identical twins. but they will tell you that no two organisms can be exactly the same because of variation. Now, some types of this physiological variation is blood group, blood group, and PTC testing. Now, morphological variation, this is variation that we can see with our eyes. They are just the outside external body structures. External body structures. Now, these ones, they don't have anything to do with internal. They're ones that we can see. For example, fingerprints. Fingerprints. What again? Heights. Eye color, and so on and so forth. But in this question, we are asked for the coloration of the eye is a dash variation, and we have been able to deduce that we have two types of variation: physiological and morphological. And we have said that physiological is internal, morphological is external. Now, coloration of the eye is something that is external. We can see it. We can see that, oh, this person's eye is blue, this person's eye is brown, this person's eye is green, this person's eye is black. So that makes it a morphological kind of variation, option B. Number 8. Which of the following choices correctly describes the composition of the cell membrane? So they are trying to ask us that what is the composition of the cell membrane? What is the cell membrane made of? Now, the cell membrane is made up of Now, this cell membrane is made up of lipids. What are lipids? That is fat and oil. Fats and oils plus proteins. So these lipids, they form the surroundings. So inside these lipids are proteins. So that's what the cell membrane is made up of. And that makes our correct answer to be number B option.
400,000 cheap medicines, cosmetics, and analytical supplies. Everything in one big place. allschoollabs.com.
Option B. Number 9. The feeding relationship among a set of members of a community is referred to as what? The feeding relationship among a set of members of a community is referred to as what? So what do we refer the relationship between members of a community? Now, is it food web? Is it the pyramid of energy? Is it a food chain? Is it pyramid of number? Now, a food web will only food web, don't forget that food web can tell us that we have plants. They'll tell you that, okay, go to feed on plants. It can also tell you that another sheep will also feed on that same plant. It can tell you that snakes will feed. Okay, it can also tell us that a lion will feed on the goats. A lion will feed on the sheep. It can tell you that another higher predator will still feed on the lion. Then it can now give us insects. Tell us that frog will eat insects. So it is diverse. But you know, in food chain is a straight line. Food chain is something like this. They can put plants, then they will not say sheep, they will not say lion. Now, it's on a straight line. This is a food chain. But if you want to convert this particular food chain to food web, then we are going to be, mixing it with different kinds of, we can say, oh, this plant again, not only sheep will feed on plants, we can say goat to feed on that plant. Then we can now connect it again. Lions too will feed on the goats, and so on and so forth. So that is how the food web is. So food chain is only a straight line, but for food web, it's scattered. It shows different kinds of organisms, and that is and it is more realistic. And that is a more realistic relationship of organisms that live in a community. Don't forget that what is a community? A community is the relationship is a population of different species. So our answer here is food web because it is more realistic. Number 10, nitrogen is released into the atmosphere when what? So in which of these processes is nitrogen released into the atmosphere? A, plant absorbs mineral salts. B, sugar is completely broken down. Or C, through plant uptake. Or D, when lightning strikes. Now, when plants absorb minerals, is the uptake is not being released to the environment, it's just uptake. When sugar is completely broken down, does that release nitrogen? Let's just put that at rest first. See, through plant uptake is still uptake, so it cannot be our answer. Now we have when lightning strikes. So when lightning strikes, what happens? Now when we're looking at the nitrogen cycle, we say that lightning will convert atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrates. So lightning is not converting anything to it's not releasing nitrogen. The only thing that it's doing is just adding soil nitrates. So our answer here, although we don't have a perfect answer, but our answer here can be sugar is completely broken down. Why? Because when organisms, when they break down food, they release nitrogen, and especially these denitrifying bacteria. So we can say that our answer, the best answer, we don't have a perfect answer, but our best answer here is option B. Number 11, size, color, and fingerprints are examples of dash. Size, color, and fingerprints are examples of dash variation. A, we have physiological variation. B, we have discontinuous variation. C, we have morphological variation. D, we have adaptive variation. Now, don't forget that we talked about physiological and morphological variation. We said that physiological is the internal body structures, while morphological variation are the ones that we can see. Now, we also have a group of variation that is called continuous and discontinuous. Now, the difference between continuous variation is that continuous is a kind of variation. Now, when we look at this part of variation, it is not broken down into straight categories. It's not broken down into a specific category. For example, let's look at height. Now, when somebody has for example, you cannot say that, oh, it's either this person is tall or short. You can't really say that. Somebody can be averagely tall, somebody can be averagely short, somebody can be very short. So it is not really split into, in fact, that's why we even have a scale to measure it. It is quantitative. It's something that we can measure. Another thing we have is weights. Now look at the weights. It's not as if you are slim or you are fat. No. You have, in Nigeria, in this country, we use the kg scale. Now, this is our kg scale. You can either be 40 kg, you can be 45 kg, you can be 70 kg. So it is also quantitative. So when you see that these particular characteristics are quantitative, they fall in a spectrum of category. We're talking about continuous variation. But when we're not talking about discontinuous variation, they have only specific categories. For example, we have testing of PTC. Now, this PTC is a chemical. Now, this chemical is either you can taste it as bitter or you cannot taste it. So it's not as if you can taste it small. It only falls to two. It's either you can taste it or not. We have tongue rolling. Now, this tongue rolling also is either you can roll your tongue or you cannot roll your tongue. We also have fingerprints. Now we have three main types of fingerprints. We have the arc, we have the loop, and we have the hole. So it's either your fingerprints must be in those three categories. It cannot be more than that. So it is more of qualitative. So now that we know physiological, morphological, continuous and discontinuous, let's answer this question. Size, color, and fingerprints are examples of what? Physiological variation. Yes, we can say they are physiological variation because no, they cannot be physiological variation because physiological variation is body function, and these are not body function, so that cannot be our answer. Discontinuous variation, these are the ones that fall in distinct. Now before that, size is here, color is here. Cannot be okay. Color can be discontinuous, but the fact that size is there, that size is quantitative, it does not fall in a specific category, so it nullifies this discontinuous variation. Now morphological variation, we can see them, so it can be our answer. And adaptive, we don't have anything to do with adaptive here, so our answer is option C, morphological variation. Number 12, the level of organization in Spirogyra and Volvox is what? A, organ, B, system, C, cell, D, tissue. Now most people don't know the level of organization that Spirogyra and Volvox belong in. For example, Volvox, because of we see them mostly in colonies, we don't really understand in what form or level of organization they exist. Now the Spirogyra and the don't forget that Spirogyra is an algae, and they exist as a cell organization. They exist in a cell kind of organization. Volvox also is also in a cell organization too, just that is now found in colonies. Number 13, which of the following scenarios is an example of cohesion? Which of the following scenario is an example of cohesion? Now what is cohesion? Cohesion. Now we have two kinds of attractive forces. We have the force of cohesion and we have adhesion. Now cohesion, this is when like substances attract like. Adhesion is unlike. Okay, for example, if I mix a biro and if I join a biro and water together, they are unlike. So if they attract one another, it is adhesion. But if I put a biro and another biro together, it is cohesion because they are like. So a water molecule stick to the surface of a mirror. So in this particular one, we are seeing water and mirror, and they are unlike. So it is adhesion. B, water sticks to the walls of blood vessels. So we are seeing water and blood is adhesion. C, water molecules stay on the tip of the pine needle because the water is attracted to the surface of the needle. All the long story, we know that it is water and needle and it is adhesion. D, water molecules stick to one another. Water molecules stick to one another. So that means water and water. So option D is cohesion. So our answer is option D. Number 14. The common theme in plants and animal cells is what? Now, this question is trying to say that what is the particular thing that we can see both in plants and animal cell? A, we have chloroplast. Now, chloroplast, don't forget that chloroplast, this is where chlorophyll is found. And this chlorophyll, we call chlorophyll the green pigments that gives green plants their characteristic green color. And this chloroplast, that is where photosynthesis occurs. So it's only found in green plants. cell wall. Now, when we draw your animal cell and your plant cell, you observe that your animal cell, your plant cell will look something like this. And they will label this one, and they will label the outermost side as a cellulose cell wall. And the animal can just look like this. And they will label this place as just a cell membrane. The animal cell does not have this cell wall. Now, this cell wall is what makes that when you break your, example, if you have a stick or you have a leaf, when it can break. But our skin, no matter how much you try to, it cannot break. So that is why the skin is the human body or the animal's body are like that. You can't break it because of the absence of the cell wall. This means that cell wall is only found in plants. Now, nucleus, this is where the genetic materials are found in the cell. Now, nucleus can be found in both animal and plant cell. So both. Now, centrioles can only be found in animals. And why? They are the ones responsible for cell division. Cell division. So our answer for this question is option C, nucleus. Number 15, the modification in structure, physiology and behavior of plants and animal is called what? The modification in structure, physiology and behavior of a plant and animal is called what? Now, what does modification mean? When you are trying to modify something, you are trying to make it to suit your taste. For example, I buy a car and I want to modify the car. Maybe I buy the car in color black, but I want to modify it to my taste and I paint it pink. That is what they call modification. So they're trying to tell us that the ways, the behavior, the structure that living things pick up for them to survive, for them to blend into their environment, what is it called? Is it called adaptation? Is it called evolution? Is it called variation? Is it called succession? Now, don't forget that adaptation is when a particular organism is trying to, cope and survive in a space. Evolution, this is the changes that this is not gradual, but it is the changes that organisms encounter after a very long period of time. Now, in this particular question, we do not see anything that has to do with a long period of time. So we have no business with evolution. Variation, variation is just saying that one organism is different from another organism, and it does not have anything to do with our question here. Succession will tell you that this is the first organisms I can see here, followed by these organisms, followed by these other organisms. So that's what succession will just tell you about competition. So our answer here is adaptation, because it is the modification. It is going to try to change itself gradually to suit that particular place. Number 16. We use a diagram to answer the question that follows. The instrument is used to measure A, atmospheric pressure, B, relative humidity, C, direction of wind, and D, speed of wind. We've talked about this previously. We said that when we see cups, it is anemometer, and when we see arrows, it is wind vane. Now this has cups, so it is the anemometer, and it is used to measure the speed of wind. That's option D. Number 17. A bacteria that is spherically shaped is called what? A bacteria that is spherically shaped is called what? A, Diplobacillus, B, Coccus, D, Bacillus, and D, Vibrio. So let's try to visualize the shape of these bacteria. Now, okay, let's start from coccus. Now, coccus, they are always very cool. They look like something like this. They look like this. Now, for bacillus looks as a rod shape. They have a rod shape. Now, the vibro, they look like a bent C. They look like this. So when you see them like this. But now from the bacillus, now when we have bacillus, we know that bacillus is just a rod, and we have diplobacillus. Now diplo, from the word di, it means two. So yeah, so when you look at this diplobacillus, we're talking about two rods, which is going to look like something like this. One, two. So you see them joined together. They are always in pairs. So, and in the question, a bacteria that is spherically shaped. So our answer is option B, coccus or cocci. Number 18, the flame cells are used for excretion in what? The flame cells are used for excretion in what particular organism? A, fluke, B, nematode, C, bacteria, and D, volvox. Now, what are flukes? Now, flukes, what they belong to? Now, flukes, when you look at liver fluke, the full name is the liver fluke. When you look at liver fluke, look at the tapeworm. They are the flatworms. And these flatworms, they use what is called flame cell for their excretion. Now, nematodes, they have excretory pores. They don't really have a specific cell, a specific organelle that they use. They just have excretory pores. That's openings on their body that they use for excretion. Now, bacteria, both bacteria and volvox, they excrete by the movement of gases. By movement of gases, by sometimes they can lose water by osmosis. They can bring water to them by osmosis. So for them, what they do is by diffusion, because they are on a cell level. They are cell level, so they don't really have any specialized organ for excretion. So our answer is option A, the liver fluke. Number 19, food chain refers to the feeding relationships between animals in a what dash? A, family, B, phylum, C, community, D, group. Now we know, okay, food chain, and we have talked about food chain, that food chains are always linear. Food chains are always linear, and it refers to the feeding relationship between animals and what? Now, don't forget that food chain we have to do, as we said before, it can be, okay, let's say insects, frog, snake, and hawk. So the frog is going to feed on the insects, the snake will feed on the frog, and the hawk is going to feed on the snake. So with this now, they belong to different species. Insect does not belong, is not the same species as a frog, obviously. So our best answer that we can still pick in this question is still community. That's the best answer. Number 20, the host of Taenia solum is what? Now, Taenia means tapeworm. So they're trying to tell us that what kind of this tapeworm, what is it found? Is it found in the cow, the pig, the sheep, or the dog? Now, when you say Taenia solum is telling us that it is a pork tapeworm. It's a pork tapeworm. Now that is option B.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the video you just watched. To see more content as that, preparing you for your upcoming exam, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on notification. Also, remember that you can use the comment section to send us your questions or your inquiries, and we are happy to take them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.